Sentinel Island and the curious nature of man. Why are we so curious? Why are people so curious about shit they have no business dealing with? Leave them folks alone. Now, I got caught up in a YouTube cipher, right? You know how you go on YouTube, you go into this rabbit hole, you click on one video, look at it, there's something else on the side. You get interested in something. This is a product of that. I've been watching a lot of geographic videos. There's a lot of great content creators on YouTube who are making National Geographic worthy content on this. Now, the video I'm watching now is from a year ago by Sunny V2. And he's not the only one. But shout out to him because this is the video we're going to watch. Going down this rabbit hole, I came across multiple videos. And I've watched probably like 5 videos on this Sentinel Island just to make sure what I seen in this video was actual factuals. And yes, that is the case. There's no lies being told here when we talk about the Sentinel Island. And it's actually not the only island around, but so when we talk about these people, man, the whole time I'm watching all of this information, why are we so persistent on using ships to bring coconuts there and using this to bring that? And I'll get into my reason later as I write it down as to why I think people were so persistent, archaeologists and all of this, on looking at this little bitty land. Like, there's so much out there and y'all are focused on this one land where all they have shown is hostility. Let's go ahead and start. So, first off, we gotta go run through the geography of it.
Let's first talk about the island itself. Located in the Bay of Bengal between India and Thailand, North Sentinel Island measures 6 kilometers wide, 8 kilometers long, and is home to one of the last uncontacted tribes on all of planet Earth. The tribe is known to outsiders as the Sentinelese, who have an estimated population of between 15 and 500 people, unbelievably hostile to anybody who tries to visit the island. The first example.
So yeah, they don't know how many people is there just because it's so hard. Like, how can you know how many people is there if nobody's there that's holding records or telling you, or there's no information? So, and every time they go, it's hostile. Let's keep going.
To anybody who tries to visit the island. The first example of this came in 1867 when an Indian merchant ship wrecked on the island's reef, and while the 106 passengers might have thought that they'd stumbled upon paradise, this couldn't have been further from the truth. Without warning, the ship's crew were attacked by the tribe's bow and arrows, and were only able to survive by returning fire with sticks and stones found on the beach. They were rescued by a British steamboat 1 week later, yet the captain of the shipwreck went on to describe the Sentinelese by writing, "The savages were perfectly naked with short hair and red painted noses, and were opening their mouth and making sounds like pa on oh. Their arrows appeared to be tipped with iron." The intriguing nature of the tribe led a party of armed British officials to return 13 years later in 1880, at which point they'd find, quote, "a network of pathways and several small villages that looked to have been freshly abandoned." They'd eventually find 4 Sentinelese children, as well as an elderly couple, who were kidnapped by the party and taken back to the nearby city of Port Blair.
Why? Why is my question. Why? Why are we that curious? Why are you kidnapping these people from their native lands? Like, this shit is so repeated in history that it's just crazy.
However, their stay didn't last very long, as all 6 Sentinelese sickened rapidly and the old man and his wife died. So the 4 children were sent back to their home with quantities of presents.
Everybody who they kidnapped sickened rapidly, and the old man and his wife died. So the 4 children were sent back to their home with quantities of presents. sickness, man. How many times have you heard about through history? We could look at North America. As far as Europeans, French, coming into Native American lands. And people coming down with this, coming down with that. Sickness running rampant through the tribe because of some new germs and bacteria and shit being brought over. They got rats on the ship that got rabies and all type of shit. Bringing shit into it. Why are men so fucking curious, man? Like,
16 years after this, a Hindu convict escaped on a makeshift raft from the adjacent Great Andaman Island, only to wash up 50 kilometers west in the worst place imaginable, North Sentinel. A search party found his body lying on the beach pierced with iron arrows, with his death sending a clear enough message for nobody to return to the island for almost 80 years.
So why after that, like, this is information is known. Keep going back. We keep going back. We got to see. I want to bring him a coconut. I'm the next one. Why?
However, in 1974, a film crew shooting a documentary called Man in Search of Man landed on the island to leave gifts.
We came at last to what is known as the North Sentinel Island. Although some expeditions had landed here, the Sentinelese had never been sighted. We left gifts of coconuts, knives, lengths of cloth, a pig.
After which the Sentinelese were caught on camera for the very first time.
What are those moving shapes? Are they human? At last, the first glimpse of the Sentinelese.
This is 1974.
This tribe believes in total isolation. It will not tolerate a stranger.
As is obvious in the footage, the tribe had no interest in making friends, and rather buried half of the gifts they've been given.
This is an island that's 5 miles by 3 miles. It's almost a perfect square. 5 and change miles long, up and down, and 3 and change wide. Why is it so fucking important? This is why I like... And even when it's so many different things where I'm like, why is man this curious to know some shit about some shit they ain't got no business in? Like, what draws us to that? I want the people in the comments watching right now, answer me this: why were these people consistently, India and the Britons and all of this, so just gung-ho about seeing about these people? They not worried about nobody. Obviously they got food. They well built. Them boys swole over there. They don't need clothes. They getting food somehow off the island, living off the land. Why the fuck do you got to go over there and fuck with them good people now?
Before shooting arrows toward the film crew.
A member of our film unit was wounded by one of the many arrows, each 2.5 meters long. He will carry this scar till his death.
If on Google Maps you zoom into the coastline on the island's northwest corner, you'll find a different boat which now acts as a permanent reminder of North Sentinel's hostility and unrecoverability. The ship, going by the name of the MV Primrose, had been transporting farming supplies to Australia before it wrecked on the unfortunate location in 1981. The ship's passengers were incredibly lucky because at the time, this entire area was underwater, keeping them at a safe distance while they organised their rescue. In the meantime, the Sentinelese observed the ship from their beach, with the crew members describing the tribe as well-built, frizzy-haired and black. They were naked except for narrow belts that circled their waists, and they were holding spears, bows and arrows, which they had begun waving in a manner that seemed not altogether friendly. However, while almost every example so far displays the Sentinelese as an untouchable group of brutes, it will be exactly 10 years later when a single anthropologist did the impossible. He made peaceful contact for the very first time. T and Pandit had been dropping gifts and coconuts to the island every 1 or 2 months since 1967, although for the first 24 years of doing so, the Sentinelese maintained their hostility. But all of this changed on the 4th of January 1991, when the tribe finally concluded that he was only there to help. Pandit described this day in a 2000 interview with the American Scholar, which stated a great many of the Sentinelese started running down the beach and splashing through the surf toward the dinghy. The director leapt from the boat into chest-high water. One of the young Sentinelese men recalled in fright and handed coconuts to the tribesmen as they crowded around him. A few weeks later, he returned to North Sentinel with another expedition. This time, several Sentinelese men went so far as to climb into the dinghy and grab entire sacks of coconuts.
Yeah.
Pandit was alone in the water with a group of Sentinelese. One of the young tribesmen looked at him, scowled, pulled out an iron-bladed knife, and made a gesture, Pandit says, like he was going to cut out my heart. Maybe he thought I was planning to stay on the island. But the dinghy quickly returned to pick Pandit up. He would return to North Sentinel several more times before retiring from the Anthropological Survey in 1992. The interaction showed that peaceful contact with the tribe was possible, although only after a significant period of trust building, and even after T and Pandit's unique interaction, the Sentinelese retained their hostility toward any unfamiliar outsider. For example,
it took 24 years even to get that interaction. People don't learn, man.
After the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake caused the worst tsunami in recorded human history right next to North Sentinel Island, a helicopter was sent out to see if the tribe had survived from such a catastrophe.
So in this case, this is one of the only cases where I can say, okay, maybe they did have some good hearts, and like, hold on, we just had a cataclysmic weather event happen in this area. Let's just go check and see if they good. Let's just go check and see.
Catastrophic event. Well, not only were the Sentinelese somehow doing just fine, but their response to the help offered by the Indian government was to throw spears, arrows, and rocks toward the helicopter.
Okay, they good now. They good. Okay, so we ain't gotta go they still hostile. They still swole up at the chest, at the back, all of that, because they living out there amongst the elements, which that will you gonna be stout. So
2 years later, in 2006, two men aged 48 and 52 were fishing for mud crabs near the island. However, the pair got so drunk that while sleeping, the anchor of the boat, which was a rock tied to a rope, fell apart and drifted the men toward North Sentinel. The following morning, fellow fishermen said they tried to shout at the men and warn them that they were in danger. However, they did not respond. They were probably drunk, and the boat drifted into the shallows where they were attacked and killed. A government helicopter was sent to recover the bodies. However, given the tribe's hostility, all they were able to get was this photo, after which a 5.6-kilometer exclusion zone was enforced by the Indian government, making it illegal for anybody to visit the island.
This was what should have happened at this point. What needed to happen happened. But that does not include stupid. In which I hate to do this because he's no longer living. Spoiler alert. From here, after it's illegal, we got this other guy. Now, this part has nothing to do with just general humans in general being curious. Like I say on the screen, and the curious nature of man. This is less general, and it really just deals with this one guy from here on what I'm going to talk about. Because, yes, it should be illegal to even go in. Why are we even going? This, like I said, this is a 5 by 3 mile island. Why does India, Great Britain, or American, and why do we even care? This is not having a heart. I had a heart. I wanted to go give them coconuts once a month. Even the TP, whatever his name is, he should. If he had a heart like that, okay, pull up, drop the coconuts off, and ride out. That's all you, because you owe them nothing. I hate to sound. It's gonna sound harsh, but I'm sorry. You had no business there. They got their own social system. They got their own. They delivering babies. They doing everything on their own without no insight, completely off the grid. It should be illegal for people to enter within 3 miles of this bitch.
This, in combination with every other example so far, paints a very simple picture. Do not visit North Sentinel Island under any circumstances. However, unfortunately, John Allen Chau never got the message. Born on the 18th of December 1991 in the state of Alabama, John grew up in what seemed to be a standard Christian household with 2 parents and 2 siblings.
Yeah, so
Working for,
this guy.
John was significantly more prepared. All Chau's decisions, including his studies of sports science and training and working as a wilderness emergency medical technician, and classes he took in linguistics and cultural anthropology, were in preparation to share Jesus with the North Sentinelese.
How... Imagine how dumb that is. You going to this island where all this history is of these people being confrontational, not accepting no bullshit. Anybody who come up, iron tips. How did they get iron tips? We don't know, but the ship landed on their shit, so they got a hold of some outside materials somehow, and they making iron tip spears. Shot the reporter in the leg. I don't know if I played that part, but one of the people on the boat fuck around, shot him in the leg with a spear. All this documented fuckery, debauchery, debacles, and all of this stuff that's going on. And now this one man says, Jesus is my savior, and I'm going to the Sentinel Islands. And he actually called them, before he went, he called it Satan's last stronghold. That right there lets you know he was not wrapped too tight. You call this place Satan's last stronghold. That makes that there's a certain imperialist mindset to people who think like this, who have that religious ingrained in them so strong that they feel like they have to impart this on somebody else who doesn't even speak the language in this book. And you don't even know what language they speak, but you're going to go and try to share the Jesus truth with them. Fucking idiot. My bad. I don't like to speak on the dead. That's my bad. I shouldn't have said that. But I'm too far removed from editing this video at this point. So however it plays out is how it plays out.
He was very well prepared for this moment. On the 21st of October 2018, John posted this image to social media showing that he was back in the nearby city of Port Blair, where unbeknownst to his family, he was planning his trip to what he called Satan's last stronghold, aka North Sentinel Island. On the 15th of November 2018, only 25 days after landing back in the Andamans, John began a journal to document his trip to North Sentinel, with his first entry stating that a group of fishermen had agreed to take him to the island illegally. I met last night with the fishermen who were all believers and agreed to drop me off. Jonathan won't be accompanying me as they will be at sea doing their regular fishing maneuvers to avoid raising suspicion, and there is a high chance that they get checked by the Indian Coast Guard. The meeting went well. I trust them, though I'm the only English speaker, so there's quite a language gap, and I'm relying on the Holy Spirit to direct us. The drop zone was pointed out on the map.
To me, this screams insanity. And the crazy part in this video, when I look to the comments, none of my commentary that I'm saying, I see other people saying. And I really didn't like that. The fact that people don't look at this story how I do. Because when you think about the Native Americans, and you think about what France did, what the Spaniards did, what the Europeans did to them, and you look at this, it's almost like if you don't look at the Native Americans how you look at this, that's a problem for me. And this goes even further into 2024 as we speak now of immigration. Oh, they're not going to like that part. When you speak of immigration, please do research on how this country was founded. or stolen, whichever one you want to do. They gonna hate that part. I got to say it though. We're gonna keep it going. I'm a forward fast to day 2 of him, this Chau person who, after it's illegal for you to even get 3 miles, you decide that you're gonna go spread the word of Christ to these people that you can't even speak to because you don't know the language. Nobody knows the official language of the Sentinel Island. Nobody. Just imagine it. Nobody knows. It's just mind blowing to me, man.
Here's when this nice meet and greet went south. A child and a young woman, both with bows, came behind, and I kept waving my hands to say no bows, but they didn't get the memo, I guess. Then a little kid with bow and arrow came down the middle, and I figured this was it. So I preached a bit to them starting in Genesis, and disembarked my kayak to show them that I too have 2 legs. But the little kid shot me with an arrow directly into my Bible, which I was holding in front of my chest. I stumbled back, and I recall yelling at the kid for shooting me. I had to swim almost a mile back to the boat at the mouth of the cove. The plan now is to rest and sleep on the boat. By this point, John already had an unbelievable story for the ages. He had gone to the island, survived his first day, returned on a second day, was shot by the Sentinelese point blank, but lived to tell the tale after the pages in his Bible decided to spare his life. However, as the journal entries continued, it became obvious that John was happy for his legacy to be the guy who died trying to preach his religion to the tribe. Lord, let your will be done. If you want me to get actually shot or even killed with an arrow, then so be it. I think I could be more useful alive though, but to you, God, I give all the glory of whatever happens. I don't want to die. Would it be wiser to leave and let someone else continue?
This is insanity speaking right now. I just wanted to let y'all know. This is insanity speaking.
No, I don't think so. I still could make it back to the US somehow, as it almost seems like certain death to stay here. Yet there is evidence of change in just 2 encounters in a single day. We'll try again tomorrow. The following day, John wrote his final entry in the journal, beginning with, woke up after a fairly restless sleep, heading to island now.
So yeah, needless to say, yeah, he's no longer living. And I did want to forward fast to words from his father after learning about this.
To John's Instagram reading, we recently learned from an unconfirmed report that John Allen Chau was reported killed in India while reaching out to members of the Sentinelese tribe in the Andaman Islands. Words cannot express the sadness we have experienced about this report. He was a beloved son, brother, uncle, and best friend to us. To others, he was a Christian missionary, a wilderness EMT, an international soccer coach, and a mountaineer. He loved God, life, helping those in need, and had nothing but love for the Sentinelese people. As a family, we ask for your understanding and respect for him and us during this time. Thank you, the Chau family. 3 months later, John's father criticized religion for the death of his son, stating, if you have anything positive to say about religion, I wish not to see or hear it. John is gone because the Western ideology overpowered my Confucian influence. He blamed evangelicals' extreme Christianity for pushing his child to a not unexpected end, which is a viewpoint often repeated across social media platforms. John Allen Chau is not...
And it's crazy. Maybe I didn't scroll down long enough in these comments, but I didn't see that. I didn't see that. But this comment right here is 100% true. John Allen Chau is not a martyr.
Not a martyr, just a dumb American who thought that tribals needed Jesus, when the tribals already lived in harmony with God and nature for years without outside interference. Stupidity cannot be considered to be a martyrdom.
Stupidity cannot be considered a martyrdom. No. Not at all. But I just wanted to bring that forward. I usually don't play a video for that long, but that was one that I seen. I was like, this shit is wild. Curiosity of men. When we talk about, and I go back to the Native Americans, when we talk about it, just the simple fact that they labeled, what did they label the Choctaws and all? It was the 5 civilized tribes. There were all of these tribes. If you look at the map of America back then, don't look at what the Spain so-called had or what the French so-called. Don't look at none of that. Look at just the tribes. And simply looking at the Louisiana Purchase, in which the colonies go to, what was it, the French, and my bad if I'm getting shit twisted, but went to the French to ask permission and buy land that they didn't even own. It was basically just so they wouldn't interfere in the shit that they had going on when it comes to these treaties and things. Having treaties with the Choctaw, saying, okay, y'all got your land. We recognize y'all as a government. We recognize y'all. And then, we found gold over here on this land. So we just gonna break the treaty and chalk it up later. Then you sit around and tell people later, oh, you can't cross this border, Mexico. You can't cross it. That's why I don't give a about them crossing back over. I'm out.